that varies, and this isn't a comprehensive sample, this is just a few, but it depends on what you want to do with those websites. So for example, if you are on one of the more basic ones where you are single and you want to meet other single people, then the costs are quite low and the interactivity is quite high. Conversely, websites like Ashley Madison, for example, which are, its motto is have an affair, life's too short. Other way around, life's too short, have an affair. To have their basic membership really gets you nothing. But you do have to then go, it's bronze, gold, silver, it's words like that, they use like that. If you really want to have full interactivity and full access, then you really need to be spending between $40 and $80 a month on those sort of web pages. So yes, it makes a difference. Right. Sorry, to answer your question in a short way, it does make quite a difference. Your financial commitment reflects your investment and your return. It's a business. It is a business. That's the other thing. It is a significant and growing business. Yeah. It's the second largest dating website in the world is an Indonesian website, and it has millions. It's not even worth saying how many millions because it could change in the time that we've recorded this. There'll be more people on it. It's one of the biggest dating websites in the world. I guess the other thing to bear in mind is the changing community, the growth of mature age dating. So people who are maybe at the end of a 20-year relationship, into their 50s or even older, who are now using online dating to meet. The thought of your nana being hit on by somebody else online is confronting probably for some people, but that is certainly a growth area and it's different. And if students care to have a look at the web links, there's one up there. There's a whole lot of mature age dating things. It's quite a different approach to some of those other dating sites. Theoretically, you should be able to have one site that serves all people, but the market has very cleverly decided that there is a niche for everything, and the ageing community certainly is one of those growth areas. There's an assumption that it'll all be the Facebook generation, people who have, with 500 friends but nobody to go to the movies with, that they'll be 17 or 18, but in actual fact, there's a whole other market as well. Online dating sort of has a cousin as well, in that there's packages that you can load on your phone now, which are all about geography. Things like Blender, Grindr. And what they do is, and not just them, there are packages which you can download to your phone, which are very popular in Japan, that allow you to specify what you're interested in, what you're looking for, and then it looks for other devices. Say if you're at a nightclub, it looks around and it tells you that in actual fact, that person over there shares your interests. They like cats, they like watercolour painting, and will link you together. So that's not new either, it's been a long time. But Blender and Grindr and things like that actually allow you to locate people who have a similar interest to you in particular activities and combine you together. And they're enormously successful, particularly Grindr in the gay community is. It was bigger and bigger. It's declining a little now, but it's certainly one of the most popular geographic, what we call it, dating. It's a form of dating. It's a meeting widget on your phone. What it is one of many widgets which you can load onto Facebook. Primarily it uses Facebook because that's where most people live their digital lives now. And it allows you to go through all of your friends, every single one of your friends and connections in your wall, and to simply click against their name that you're interested in an encounter. And you can go through everyone, and I mean everyone in your book, and you can just tell them. You can notify them by clicking on the widget that you're interested in a physical encounter. As long as the people that you're interested in have loaded Bang It Up onto their webpage and they've specified that they're interested in an encounter with you, it basically joins you together. So you can go through and mine your Facebook friends, say you've got 400 or 500, which is pretty common, and you can decide who you fancy. And as long as they fancy you, you get a little connection together, and from there you can do with it what you like. Now that's one fairly contemporary version because it uses the existing software and it uses the most popular form of social software. So you don't have to go off to a third-party dating site. You don't have to put in your PIN number, your fake Gmail account you've set up especially for dating, and you don't have to put in your credit card. It just uses an existing system. So it's intriguing. It doesn't pretend to be a dating site. There are some deep and dark places, of course, in online dating. I mean, there are, in actual fact, websites. And anybody who's been watching the television lately will see that there's an advert which comes on during prime time for cougars, which of course is a derogatory term for older women, mainly older women who are interested in younger men. There's actually a Meet a Cougar dating website advertised on Channel 9, I think. I could be wrong. Students will know. They will see the advert because it always makes me wonder if it's a joke. But it's obviously it's big enough to spend $10,000 to $20,000 on prime time advertising. So we're talking big business. I suppose it makes sense that whenever there's a boom in one part of the industry, there'll be a boom in the other part of the industry. You know, that there are swings and roundabouts. I haven't looked, except sort of in passing interest in those, because there's a moral dilemma around them, around the whole idea of trust. If you feel that you need to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend logger, then fundamentally there's something wrong with your relationship. The same thing can be said for the fact that you have an Ashley Madison account. That there's something wrong with your relationship as well. It hints at a deeper problem. But they're also big business. So they are, and not just for boyfriends and girlfriends. I mean, they have a history in things like tracking their children. Because if you think of the main justification adults use for giving their children a mobile phone is for safety and surveillance. So it's an extension of that. Whether I think they're a good or bad idea, they're interesting. It's an interesting concept that you would need to log your boyfriend or girlfriend to keep an eye on them. I'll leave that to students to decide if they think that's good or bad.
I was reading an article on Boyfriend Log and it had the designer saying we went a bit too far with that. We're a small company and we were hoping to make a bigger name for ourselves, so we invented Boyfriend Log. And then they had to sort of say, no, we should have done that. So I think it's off the cards now, but it's just for money. Just for reputation and branding.
And it was one of those build it and they will come. They didn't know there was a need for it until they designed it. Yeah. The porn industry are the innovators. They are the ones that compress files. They can send more for less. Their production values are often high and their costs are very low. In terms of distribution, they've got some of the best free and paid networks there are. So it's difficult if you put aside the content and let about the collection of butterflies, you would have them as award winners. They are really the pin-ups of the digital world. The difficulty is, of course, is that they're not distributing information about butterfly collecting. It is somewhat different. The link between the two, and that's there's a study which has been done in the US which suggests that some websites, such as Flirt, Have a Fling, Ashley Madison, are increasingly being populated by working men and women. So people from the sex industry have realised that this is a marketplace to go to. That if you've got the intention of having an affair and you've come to one of these websites, the chances are you might also be willing to pay for that. So that inevitable. And those people who are working in these websites are eventually banned and kicked out and stuff. People complain, but for every person that is acted on, I guess there's probably 5 or 6 people that go, this is a good place to go to recruit, to work.
I guess it makes sense because if almost every other industry is multi-platforming and has to get on all these different devices, you would say that it's sort of more, it's a commercially savvy move.
It's just a little bit of convergence, it's bringing all the worlds in together. Realise that there's a market out there that's looking for this. I've got a product which is relatively similar, I'll sell it to them. So it's the big challenge with the porn industry is if you can put aside the nature of the content, it's actually quite intriguing to. They have led things like YouTube and digital file sharing. Really, they've innovated way above and beyond anyone else. But it's quite difficult because there's a whole range of moral issues with it as well. It's difficult. Online dating and porn are separate things. That's bear in mind. There might be crossovers in between, but fundamentally, online dating has become respectable. It's now increasingly acceptable, respectable. It's a form of community that has some validity, and I think if students were honest with themselves, they probably would consider it. And one of the things that's worth doing is to go off to, I just pick one, Oasis, it's a fairly general one, and to sign up. to look at what it is, because what it is full of people like themselves. It's the moral dilemma and panic about online dating, I think, is declining, and the acceptability is going up. Some of the elements we're thinking about with online dating are community, changing community expectations and the opportunities to meet. Things like the decline of church youth groups, for example, mean that opportunities for people to meet in an analogue way have declined, so one thing. Stuff like risk, identity, representation. It's always worth, for a bit of fun, sitting down at the kitchen table with a pen and a piece of paper and writing down how you would represent yourself online if you had to. What would you say about yourself? And then compare it to what you know to be real, and then you learn a little bit about that as well. And also about the fact that no matter how hard we work to anticipate what these mean, there's always something that we think would happen as a result of these new initiatives. Always something comes out of it that is completely unexpected. And one of those is opportunities for people to be harmed through them as well. So that's all.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching, and have a good week.